Most people building AI chatbots are building the least valuable version of the idea. They make the chatbot, connect it to an LLM, and they call it a support agent. But that's not actually what companies are actually paying for. Companies are paying for AI systems that understand their policies, follow their rules, and connect to workflows that already run the business. So in this video, we're going to be building an AI customer support chatbot in Next.js, and it's not going to be a demo bot that says friendly things. We're going to build a foundation of a real support system. It's going to read from a company policy, answer support questions using a knowledge base, handle refunds, and call an API endpoint when the AI needs to trigger a real workflow. That's the difference between I made a chatbot and I built an AI system a company might actually pay. Let's get into it. All right, so here's the architecture. We have a Next.js app with a simple support chat interface. Now, when the user sends a message, the front end calls an API route. That API route is going to send a message to the LLM, but it doesn't just ask for the model to guess. First, we're going to load relevant company knowledge. Like I mentioned earlier, refund policy, launch setup docs, product FAQ, pretty much everything to support the role. That context is going to get passed down into the model, so the AI answers based off the business. Then, if the customer is asking for something that requires an action, like a refund request, the AI can return a structured action. Now, our backend can use that action to call another endpoint, create a ticket, send the refund request, or hand it off to a human. The main idea here, guys, is the LLM is not the whole product. The LLM is a reasoning layer inside the product. I'm going to use LaunchKit as the product example for this context here. This makes a lot more sense, especially if you're doing some type of web application. If you were to do something like SafetyKit, which is a mobile app that I built, not as prevalent simply because Apple and Android is going to handle the refund requests. They're the merchant of record, so they do all the hard part up front. But if you're doing like a web application like LaunchKit, which is by far the best Next.js template out there and at the best price too, because they can connect to real workflows. It can help with billing. It can help with launch setup, refund review. Sometimes businesses wanted to execute the refund. Maybe you want to execute a refund based off the refund amount. Anything under 100, just do it. Anything over a certain amount, how to do a refund review, have it hand off to a human. We're going to build our chatbot for LaunchKit. Well, I have my own folder. If you're following along, then you can just create your own folder wherever you want to put the code. If you want the step-by-step written tutorial, go to the newsletter. So we are going to build a brand new Next.js application. I'm using anti-gravity here, but you can use whatever editor you like. And we're going to call it AI support bot. We'll run that. We'll just go with default. Oh, it looks like that is created. We're going to go into the folder and, first thing you should probably do just an npm install. It looks like we're good there. Then we can just do a run dev. 3000. We're going to go back here. And look at that. We got a Next.js project. Good work. The backend has to validate the action and create a pending workflow. That's a real lesson. The LLM is not the product, the business system around the product. Here is a prompt, very, very specific. I want to tell anti-gravity. We're building a tutorial project called the LaunchKit Support AI. Here are the details to it. And let's fit. And honestly, you don't even need to be in Gemini High. Since it was already there, let's just keep it. We're letting Google work here, and it's pretty much asking us, I understand the constraints in the architecture. You want to focus on phase one, the knowledge base. These are all very good questions. The obvious answer is phase one here. I'm just going to ask it to implement phase one because I want to have a little bit more control on what we are building. You can easily say something like implement phase one. I want to be a little bit more direct, so I have this prompt, but I want to be very specific on work on these pages. Don't implement this. All for this step is these things, and then we'll go from there. Next up here is we are going to be adding in the first API layer. The API, of course, is the key piece here. We're going to accept all these changes, and that's fine for now. So here's the prompt. And this is what we got from our commands. This is in the app API route TypeScript file here. This is pretty standard. So we're just going to return our 400 on a valid JSON here. The other thing we ended up doing was creating a support chat, which you can take a look at here. Okay, so the next thing we are going to build is if we go into our lib folder here, you're going to see we have a types, but we're not really doing anything here. So we're going to make our LLM to another prompt, and let's see what it does for us. Anti-gravity is pretty helpful here. We add the model. The important pattern is that the LLM call stays on the server. The browser should never see the API key. We also need a strong business prompt because a business support bot cannot invent policies. That's very, very important. If it does not know something, it should escalate. But that's a guardrail. So here's the LaunchKit portal. Let's test this out. We're going to say I want a refund. All right, look at that. It said I need to escalate to human for assistance. That's the guardrail that we want to put in place. If that didn't work for you, you need to set that key first. Okay, so this is where the bot becomes specific to the business. When companies say they want to train a chatbot on their business, most of the time, they don't mean a model training. They mean they want their AI to answer from company documentation. That pattern is RAG, Retrieval Augment Generation. Now for this tutorial, we're going to keep it simple with a local markdown file. But in production, you might replace this with embeddings and a vector search, which means you're working with a vector database. So here's the prompt, and let's see what it does. So let's just take a look at what we created here. And everything's going to be a markdown file. So let's accept those. And you can see here we have a knowledge base folder and we have the escalation policy. Again, you could view and edit these as you please. Here's a checklist, the refund policy itself, and the support FAQ. And that's really what we need to get this started. How we handle the edge case that separates a toy chatbot from a real support system. A refund request is not just a question, it's a business problem. So the bot should understand the policy, ask for missing information, and avoid over promise. If the customer gives enough information, then the AI can propose a structured action. But it shouldn't just like say refund approved. That's the thing we want. It should only create pending review. Now let's add our prompt. And for this one, we're pretty much just asking for a structured action for support to handle the refund. Let's let that think. This is one thing I like about being very specific in the prompt is you can actually see what files get changed. So you can see in our route, this is what we're pretty much adding to it, additional response and additional method here. And then if you go into the LLM, we just pretty much create another system prompt, but we structure it to add a bit more detail. And then of course you can go look at the additional type for support action here. I want to show you something here because this is a perfect AI hallucination. Now I started up with the portal. I said I want a refund and asked me for the email. I put in an email, said thank you. Let me see if I can help. Wasn't a good fit, so I got the reason. Then it said, so sorry to hear that. Please provide me your email. And I was like, you already have it. I need the email just to proceed. I needed to proceed. Okay, here it is again. Maybe give it a benefit of the doubt. Then it says, thank you for providing the email. Then I give it another reason. And I was like, dude, none of this is working. So we went back to anti-gravity and I pretty much just pasted like what I was getting. So I was like, this is what I got back in a JSON response, which let me show you. So you see your responses here. I went to this one. I'm like, well, I'm getting this and email this. Maybe I'm not doing it right. And then they just gave me the answer. Another thing I want to show you guys, the whole point of this, and this is real tutorial, real learning here, is if you're going to be setting this up for a company, you are going to have to test. I like building these incrementally because it's a little bit easier to test. It's now we run into a different issue. We go through the process. I even use the example email that I put in the prompt itself. I gave it a reason, but as you go through your responses, you get your reply, you get action. No, not necessarily a problem, but not necessarily what we were expecting. But in terms of the experience, you can kind of see here, it did email, it got these details, and then pretty much like, I'm just going to escalate it. Some companies want exactly that. That might be the edge case you're building. Some people want it to be automated. Be very clear when you're working with your customer or your business or your organization, what they're specifically asking for. All right, so this is going to be the most important part of the tutorial. Now, the AI is not just writing a message anymore, is connected to business logic. In a real company, we're going to need an endpoint that might create a Jira ticket, a Zendesk ticket, notify finance, add something to an internal admin queue, maybe connect to Stripe. For this tutorial, we're safely stub the workflow and just create a pending refund review. Now, the key word here is pending. The model can recommend an action, but the backend validates and decides what actually happens. Here are some files that we modify. We start with our actions here. Nothing super complicated, but you can now see a pending review status. Look at that. And then we're going to move over to our route. The main thing I want to highlight here was now you see the process refund action, which then is going to go in here and create a refund review. All right, remember, the most important thing is testing. I actually wrote this message. I said, I want a refund. My email is the example, example.com. And my reason is because it's 7 days ago and the economy, man, it's rough. That's relatable. And look at that. I've submitted your refund request for review and it gives you a refund ID. All right. Now, if this was going in production, there are 5 things I would upgrade. First, I would replace the keyword matching with embeddings on a vector search. Second, I would add auth because the bot should know who the customer is. Third, log every conversation with every action request. Fourth, keep a review for money, legal, account access, safety, angry customer. I used to have a job where there was like one person. There's always one person at every job that deals with like the angry people. They just have that skill set. And fifth, I would say evaluate the bot with real test cases instead of trying a few random prompts. Now, that's how companies should think about AI support. Not, does the demo look cool? Because we can do that. The main thing is, does it follow policy? Does it escalate correctly? And does it move in the right workflow that you want, that you intended for it? So the big takeaway is this: the chatbot is not the product. The system around the chatbot is the product. Now, the knowledge base, it makes it AI company specific. And that's different in ChatGPT. The API endpoint makes AI operation. The API endpoint make the AI operate. So let OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, they are the ones building these amazing models. This is how you take advantage of. Guardrails make it usable in a real business. And using an AI IDE like anti-gravity does not remove the need to think clearly. It just makes clear thinking more important. So if you give the IDE one vague prompt, you're going to get a vague app. Not saying you can't do it. Some people just talk it out. But if you can build and layer, verify each layer, and connect AI to real business logic, you get a lot closer to what companies actually are building and what they're paying for. If you want all the prompts that I use for this video, if you want to see the code base, I will publish that all in my newsletter, give you everything you need. So completely free. Just make sure to subscribe there. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in for this one. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe for more tech content, tech tutorials. I got